Welcome to this new segment of Understanding ADHD Nutrition Research and basically other research as well with nutrition and mental health. So my name is Annika. I'm an ADHD nutrition research expert, and this is what I love to do. So I am a science communicator, meaning I read a lot of research all the time. This is my expertise, and I want to make sure that it is accessible to every single one of you who wants to know as well. So that is my purpose, and if you are interested in learning more, I have a paid community where you get a lot of access to all this research. You get early access to all these different conversations that I'm having about the research. And you also get community access as well as a lot of resources to help you put this information into practice, because honestly, it is so hard with ADHD to eat and to follow all these guidelines that I talk about. So the support systems that I have in place for you just helps bridge that gap between the knowledge and the practical aspect of it. So to learn more about that, you can check out my Patreon. I have all of those links in the caption. Today, we are going to be talking about BDNF. So BDNF is a brain-derived neurotropic factor. Essentially, it's a crucial neurotropic factor that supports the survival, growth, and maintenance of neurons. So neurons are those things in our brain that connect with other things to make sure that we are cognitive, we think, we learn, we grow, we have memory. That is what is really important for something called neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is really that ability that the human brain has to continually evolve and learn and grow. And what we know is that as we age, these levels decrease, which makes sense because as we age, we also tend to cognitively decline. So essentially, BDNF is one of the most important factors in understanding even mental health, and also ways that we can learn more about how we can improve our memory, how we can improve cognition, all of these different aspects. So think of it as sort of a brain fertilizer. It helps your brain adapt, repair itself, and then also stay resilient. So higher BDNF levels, like I said, they are associated with better cognitive function, emotional regulation is actually associated with, and overall mental health. On the flip side, it's low BDNF is linked to, honestly, a lot of unhelpful things. So it is linked with depression and anxiety. So reduced BDNF levels have been found in people with major depressive disorder and anxiety disorders. Interestingly, some antidepressants actually work in part by improving BDNF levels. Super cool stuff. Anyway, ADHD is also connected with lower BDNF levels. So BDNF is actually involved in dopamine signaling and, like I said, neuroplasticity. And both of those are really, really important in ADHD. So since we tend to have lower BDNF levels, it might contribute to ADHD symptoms like impulsivity, inattention, emotional dysregulation. Another interesting thing here is similar to the antidepressant medication, we do see that methylphenidate does improve BDNF levels in ADHD people. Super, super interesting. Neurodegenerative diseases are also connected to low BDNF levels, so think dementia, Alzheimer's. Parkinson's is also associated with it. The reason for this, we think, is because it contributes to brain atrophy, which is that breaking down of the neural connections in our brain. It is also, again, like I said before, associated with cognitive impairment. Some really interesting things about BDNF is it's also correlated with appetite and metabolism of our nutrients. So BDNF actually plays a role in energy balance. It also plays a role in appetite regulation, and there is some preliminary research that indicates it might also be involved in insulin sensitivity. So, super interesting stuff. It's a newer area that we've been looking at, but fascinating. And then the last area, BDNF is really important in learning and memory. So it's crucial for long-term memory formation and cognitive flexibility. So again, low levels are associated with impaired learning, brain fog, and in general, reduced mental agility. So obviously, it's really important for us to figure out how can we improve the BDNF levels in our brain. So since I know a lot about the nutrition aspect of things, that's where my brain immediately goes. First thing to know, in general, exercise is one of the best ways to improve our BDNF levels, but that's not as exciting to me as nutrition, so that's what I look at. So in 2022, there was a meta-analysis that looked at all of the research about nutrition and BDNF levels. And I'll break it down really quick for you. But before I do, I just wanted to remind us there is a hierarchy of evidence, and meta-analyses are at the top. The reason for this is because they basically look at all of the different types of evidence out there. So they look at mainly, for this one, it was mainly the randomized placebo-controlled trials. Ideally, that's what they are. And they compile all the evidence together and can conduct statistical analyses based on the evidence, like the compilation of the evidence. It's really fascinating. It takes a long time to do a meta-analysis, and they are very complicated to conduct. However, they are really, really important in helping us understand what is the actual understanding of our world, like the closest successive approximation to knowing what to do. So that's why meta-analyses are fabulous. We love them. So this review analyzed all the research out there on dietary interventions for BDNF levels. So they focused on changes in BDNF levels in response to different dietary patterns. There were a lot of different types of studies out there, but the main ones they found had just different dietary patterns in general. There were also ones that looked at polyphenols, vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and omega-3 fatty acids. What they found here was two things mainly. Overall, dietary patterns were associated with the improvements in BDNF levels. So essentially, the most important thing that they found was people who had a higher fiber intake had a better BDNF level and cognitive health as well. So fiber was the most important food, like fibrous foods, most important food to be eating to improve your BDNF levels, which is wonderful because that's what I talk about all the time. Fiber is queen. We love her so much. We want to be eating a lot of fiber. And honestly, most people do not eat fiber. There was a review that looked at how many people eat fiber, like actually meet the dietary guidelines, and only 10% of people in the States met the dietary requirements for fiber. So we have a large way to go in cognitive ability because we're just not eating enough fiber. So fiber comes in mainly fruits and vegetables, seeds, nuts, beans, and whole grains. So if you are not eating a lot of that regularly, be sure to do that. I had a YouTube video about what I personally do to make sure that I have my ADHD symptoms managed as well as I can through nutrition. And I do talk about how to use fiber with that. If you want to go and watch it, I'll have it linked here as well. So that was the first thing that they found. They found that fiber was the best predictor of BDNF levels and cognitive health. The other one was that vitamins, minerals, omega-3s, and probiotics did not increase BDNF levels, which is kind of mind-blowing because we think that those things would, but they didn't. The only thing nutrition-wise besides fiber that improved BDNF levels was something called a polyphenol, specifically phenolinic acids and other phenolic compounds, not flavonoids, which is super interesting because flavonoids are typically associated with their impact on the Krebs pathway, which is a huge thing for the BDNF expression. So honestly, that was really fascinating, and I'm not sure why that is. But yeah, that was a weird tangent. But anyway, polyphenols are the only nutrient besides fiber which is associated with the improvements in BDNF levels. And like I said, the fiber improved the BDNF levels, But what is in fiber specifically that might improve it? The polyphenols are likely the reason for this. Also, because fiber is really important for insulin regulation, and we know that that's connected a little bit with BDNF. Fiber is amazing, essentially, is what we're getting at here. But yeah, so essentially, polyphenols are perhaps the most important nutrient we want to focus on if we want to improve cognitive flexibility, our appetite regulation, our mental health in relationship to our cognitive function. It is so, so important. So there are a few specific polyphenols that are important to talk about here. They were, let's see. Okay, so the phenylalaninic acids and other phenylalaninic compounds. So that includes berries, coffee, whole grains, nuts, seeds, citrus fruit, vegetables, and beans. Basically, just what I talked about before with fiber. So if you just focus on improving your fiber intake, you really don't need to think about the specific polyphenols that you're eating. We really just want to make sure that we're eating a lot of plants. And this correlates really well with the research we have on how plant diversity is one of the best predictors for mental health. So eating 30 different plants a week or more is associated with the best mental health outcomes. Again, it might be because people who have more money are more able to eat those foods because they have more access to it. So there's a lot of different confounding variables we want to be aware of, but it's likely also because of the fiber content and the polyphenol content and basically all the amazing things that come through plants. So that is really the outcome that we want to think about when we look at this study. So for brain health, the very best foods we can eat are fiber-rich foods. So I'm super sorry if you're a carnivore, but your diet is not going to cut it, and it might actually harm your cognitive ability in the future because you are not eating the one food that is actually associated with improved cognitive ability. So, and then like I said, exercise is also an incredibly important thing to do if you want to improve your cognitive ability through improving your BDNF levels. But yeah, that was basically everything to know about BDNF, how to improve your mental health essentially using food. The answer mainly, as it comes down to almost every single time, is fiber. So thank you so much for taking the time to learn, and I will see you next time when we talk about, I don't know, there's so many things I can talk about, so we'll find out. The best way you can support what I do is simply through subscribing or liking this and sharing it to anyone who might benefit. And when you're ready to join my NutriMind community, you can tap that link in the notes, and I'm so excited to get to know you. In the meantime, here's a list of the current people who support me, and I appreciate every single one of you.